So let's learn about robot wiring now. Or sorry, let's learn about the toolkit. Keep wanting to do robot wiring, huh? Do it multiple times. All right. With what you have learned so far, you can make robots do a lot of simple tasks. But to get through the higher levels of Robotropolis, you will need to make circuits with parts from the toolkit. Notice that the cursor has changed. This cursor can be made hot. You'll see how soon. The circuit was made by connecting wires between the inputs and outputs of two parts of the toolkit. Use the remote control to stop and start the flow of electricity in the circuit. And there we go. It stopped. Well, let's start. The remote control stops and starts electricity both inside and outside robots. It's hard to see where the wires connect in this circuit, but you can fix that. Pick up one of the parts. When you move, the wires will stretch to follow the part. So it's important to notice that there's always two controls here. One or two forms. You can either be the character or the soldering iron. So in this case, the character is actually this big square, which is for making wires hot. So, but let's just do what it said here. So when you go back and forth with the four-finger tap or with the character icon, it's just between soldering iron and the square. However, the wire will break if you stretch it out of the room. So I guess that means we give this a try. And go down here, boom, it's broken. This is the toolkit. Inside are parts you need to wire circuits. Take the toolkit into the next room. This is unnecessary because you can summon the toolkit anytime you want by tapping the toolkit bag in the bottom right. This thing. You can open and close the toolkit by pressing the toolkit icon. It looks like a suitcase. That's this thing. So whether you're holding it or not, if you tap the toolkit icon and it doesn't exist, it will appear, and then any further taps will open and close the toolkit. So if you have the toolkit inside of the bot, then it will, sometimes you want to have it open so you can wire stuff up, and sometimes you want it closed so that it's less junk lying around. All right, so leave the toolkit here. All right, no toolkits allowed. So if you actually carry the toolkit in here, that robot thing will actually grab it from you or prevent you from moving. If the toolkit is nowhere in sight, you can summon it to you. Think of it as sitting in your pocket wherever you go. Press the toolkit icon to summon the toolkit, drop it, and press the toolkit icon to open and close it. So there we go. Boom, just like I said, it appeared. And you can open and close it. And you drop it, open and close it. You can take parts in and out of the toolkit with the cursor. To take a part out, move on top of it and tap two fingers. To put it back, drop it anywhere in the toolkit. So if we open the toolkit, then we grab a part like this AND gate here. You can bring it up, drop it, boom, there you go. There's an AND gate. And now we want to get rid of it. We just drop it anywhere in this box. Boom, it's gone. You can rotate parts by holding a part and tapping the rotate icon, the one with the arrows going around in a circle. There is no limit to the number of parts you can take out of the toolkit. So let's summon the toolkit, drop it over here, grab a part, and it said rotate it, so that it can rotate this AND gate in any direction we want. Rotate it. You can grab more if you want. You can grab an OR gate. There you go. Grab an XOR gate. And you can do all you want. You can clutter up the whole place. The cursor here is special. It is made to it can be made hot with electricity and test parts. Press the hot icon to make the cursor hot. The hot icon is this big red square over here. Right now, and you have to activate the remote, of course, in order to make it do anything. So we over here, we can be hot, but it won't do anything. But if we touch the hot to the input, boom. Okay. So I will probably make a more interesting icon, but right now it's just a big red square. I don't know, it's like maybe a fire or a torch or a campfire, like the Dark Souls campfire, I don't know. Press the hot icon to make the cursor hot, and that's what we did. Pass the hot cursor over the antenna input to turn the antenna on, that's what we did. And press the hot icon again to make the cursor cold. And we did. You can also use the hot cursor to move a robot. Just sit on the thruster input and the robot will move. The hot cursor is available for testing circuits in the Innovation Lab. Unfortunately, you can't use it in Robotropolis because it would spoil the game. I'm a little unclear why it would spoil the game because uh, you can always use a NOT gate to activate something. It's just you have to wire it up to something and then unwire it. But I haven't explored it, more detail in levels 3 and higher. So maybe there's some place in there where that comes into play, or maybe there's a place where you can't use toolkits. I don't know. Uh, all right. So if we were to position ourselves over the right side here with the remote on, activate it. Boom. Now it's actually thrusting to the left. We can't see anything because we're inside the robot. But if we take a look over here, boom. See, we're on the left side. If we're still hot, so let's move over to the left side here and touch this thruster and wait a little bit. And then if we exit, we can see, we've moved to the right. Okay, so let's go to the next. The next room is called the Crossroads. From it, you can follow various paths to learn about different parts of the toolkit. So, since this is a tutorial, I will explore all of them, but obviously if you were to do it yourself, you could just skip them if you wanted. Or you could skip everything. If you already know it, no problem. All right, so when you've learned everything, you go down, but for now, we will go up and check out the nodes. What the heck is a node? These are nodes. These three things right here are nodes. Nodes to make electricity branch in 2 or 3 places. Take a node from the toolkit and carry it to the next room. So let's grab the three-way node here. I usually use a three-way one because it's like, sometimes you don't want to clutter it up, so you use the vertical one or the corner one. But I almost always just grab the 3 one just so I can. It's less work if I want to actually use a third output. Wire the input circle of the node to the output of the contact center. Wire the node outputs to the thrusters. So what they're saying here is the node outputs are these things. This is the node, so we wire up to this one, and let's wire up to this one. So we wired the node to these 2 inputs for the thrusters. We want to wire the input. It says input circle, but it's actually a square. So I wire the input of the node to the output of the contact sensor. So that's the input of the node wired to the output of the contact sensor, which is this thing. There we go. So now the output from the contact sensor goes to the square center thing, which then branches off into those 2 things. So drop the blue key so that it touches the sensor. Electricity flows to both thrusters. So let's grab over here. Boom. So when the key touches the key sensor, it activates and goes to the node. The node then activates in all 3 directions, and 2 of those directions are wired to inputs for the thrusters, so that causes the thrusters to activate. All right. So we're good here. Pretty simple for the nodes. And so there's those 3 different types of nodes. Now let's go over to flip-flops. A flip-flop is like a light switch. It flips electricity from one output to the other. Take a flip-flop from the toolkit, put the hot cursor on one of the input at a time to make the electricity flip or flop. All right. Let's grab there we go. So we now have a flip-flop. And let's make the icon hot. Boom. It goes left. Now it's active right. So there's 2 inputs in the bottom. And if we activate the left input, it causes the flip-flop to activate the output on the left side. So, it's good. I don't think we need to take it with us, but go inside the robot and wire the orange output of the flip-flop to the thruster on the right. Sit on the eye to see what you did. So we want to output the orange output of the flip-flop to the thruster on the right. So, it's already got one. So we want to, the output here goes to the thruster on the right. If we go look at the eye, it's moving to the left. Oh, but now it's going back right. Now it's going left. So as you can see in here, it's gonna go and then it'll bounce. So what's happening is that when these sensors on the right here, this one just bounced on the right wall. So when it got all over to the right, this bumper here activated, and that activated this part of the flip-flop, and it caused this output, which then caused it to go left. So basically, when it hits right, it activates the flip-flop to say, now we need to go left. And then when it hits the left side, it it hits the flip-flop to go the other direction, so now we want to go right. So it allows it to bounce back and forth. So that's how you make a simple, make a robot where it simply goes back and forth. That skill will be useful later for some of the beginner stuff. All right, logic gates. Not gates. This is where we get a little bit of logic going on here. A NOT gate inverts electricity flow. It turns on when its input is not on. Take a NOT gate out of the toolkit and use the hot cursor to see how it works. So let's just grab a NOT gate. This is a NOT gate. Let's put it over here. Okay, so if we hot, that means that when we touch the bottom, it should deactivate the top. When we're not touching it, it activates the top. Very good. Wire the NOT gate output to the antenna input. They're talking about this one. So the wire. So yeah. All right. So I'll turn off. I guess we gotta finish that. Okay. So the antenna beeps when the crystal is not touching the contact sensor. I turned off the antenna, so that's why it's not doing anything. But let's turn it back on and show that if we drop, it'll start beeping, then I'll drop the thing on there and it should stop it. See, so we dropped the crystal onto the crystal touch sensor. That activated the output and caused the NOT gate input to be activated, which causes its output to deactivate, which means it's no longer the remote is no longer, or the antenna is no longer activating. So that's the NOT gate. Let's head over to the AND gate. An AND gate turns on when its left and right inputs are on. So we'll take an AND gate from the cursor and test it with the hot cursor. So AND gate, you can see if we activate just the left side, no deal. If we activate just the right side, no deal. If we activate both sides, then the output activates. Wire the AND gate output to the antenna input. The antenna beeps when the key is left and up from the directional sensor. So let's go over here and activate. All right, so now we've got the key. The key is nowhere, so it's not activating one. The key is just to the left. It's not activating the AND gate. The key is bottom left, but that doesn't do anything. It needs to be upper left. So if we go to upper left, it should activate. There we go. And so there you see the two inputs, upper and left, have to be active in order for the remote to do anything, or for the antenna thing to be beeping. So that's the AND gate. XOR gate. An exclusive OR gate, or XOR gate, turns on when one or the other input is on, but not both. Take an XOR gate out and experiment with the hot cursor. So we got an XOR gate here. And if we activate it, notice if we do both of them, we got to turn on the remote. We activate both of them, no dice. But if we activate just the left one, the output activates, and if we activate just the right one, the output activates. If we activate nothing, or if we activate both, it does nothing. So it's the XOR is just one or the other, but not both, and not neither. Wire the XOR gate output to the antenna input. The antenna beeps when either the key or the crystal is in the same room, but not both. So we go here and wire the output here. All right, so it's not beeping because both the key and the crystal are in the same room. But if we pick one up, then sorry, the remote has to be on first. The remote is on, so yeah, they're both in the same room. Pick one up, boom, beep. Now if we do the other one, pick up the key. So whenever only one of the two is there. So picking it up is the same as taking it out of the room. The antenna beeps when either the key or the crystal is in the room, but not both. So as I believe the last one is the OR gate. An OR gate turns on when one or the other input is on, or both. It's like an XOR, except that it also works when both of them are on. It's more similar to the, I guess it's sort of like closer to the English language version of OR. Take an OR gate from the toolkit and use the hot cursor to see how it works. So let's go there. Let's grab an OR gate right over here. So if we activate just the right side, it activates. If we activate the left side, it activates. And if we activate both sides, it activates. So if just one or both activates. But if neither of it activated, then it will do nothing. So it's always active unless nothing is active. Wire the OR output to the antenna input. Okay, so the antenna beeps when the key is above or left of the sensor. We don't have the antenna on, that's why it's not activating. So, all right, it's beeping because the key is to the left. So if we pick it up, it's not beeping at all because the key is nowhere. We're holding on to it. It's nowhere. But if we go here, okay, it's up and left, so it beeps. It's up, so it beeps. But now let's go here. It's just down and right, so it doesn't activate. So it's activating the bottom and right sensor outputs from the sensor here, but that doesn't matter because neither of those is wired up to the OR gate. So the antenna beeps when the key is above or left of the sensor. All right, so those are all the gates. All right. Now you know what the parts in the toolkit do. To find out how to make simple circuits inside robots, continue with robot circuits. So the next tutorial will be about robot circuits.